This video is going to cover simplifying expressions, combining like terms, and distribution. And we're going to be doing those at the same time. Before we combine them though, let's do a little bit of a review of what do we mean by combining like terms. So remember when you have an expression that you have separate terms, and we can separate those terms by going through and snipping between each plus and minus. So 5x, snip. Minus 3, snip. Plus 6x, snip. Plus 9. So I'm snipping before each plus and minus sign. That's my first step. Then what I want to do is I'm going to ask myself, is there anything that is similar that I can combine? So I start at the beginning and I say 5x. Is there anything that's similar to 5x? And when I say similar, I mean that we're looking for the same variable. So negative 3 does not have an x, so that does not have the same variable. I'm going to continue on. Positive 6x does have the same variable. So those are like terms. And notice I underline them the same way to show that they are like terms. As I continue on my list, positive 9 does not have an x, so they do not have the same variable and they are not like terms. Now that I've determined everything that is alike, I can combine. What do I get when I combine 5 plus 6? Hey, well, I get 11, and I'm combining these x's, so I'm going to bring down the x. I've got to say what it is that I'm combining. All right, so am I done? Well, I'm going to go back to my list, and I'm going to say, well, is there anything else that is similar? So I decided negative 3 was its own kind of thing, so I'm going to do a double underline just to say negative 3 is its own special kind. Was there anything that shares is that same special kind as negative 3? Well, as I look through my list, I notice, well, that negative 3 does not have a variable. So I'm looking for anything else in this list that does not have a variable. And as I continue, I see that 9 does not as well. So those are going to be what I combine. And negative 3 plus a positive 9 gives me positive 6. And because it doesn't have a variable, negative 3 or 9, I'd leave off the variable. And this would be my answer. Now, if I look at this example, I can see that I have some parentheses right here. Because of those parentheses, I can't separate out my terms by drawing these lines because I can't combine something that's inside parentheses with something that's outside parentheses. So big rule right here, I cannot combine this 2v with this 9v because the 2 is inside and the 9v is outside. In order to combine, they have to be in the same location. They either have to both be in or they both have to be out. Well, there's no way for me to move this 9v into my parentheses, so is there any way that I could get my 2v out of those parentheses? Well, remember that I can get things out of parentheses by distribution. Distribution means that I multiply what's on the outside of my parentheses into the parentheses. So let's go ahead and do that. If I multiply 3 into my parentheses, 3 times 2v is 6v, and 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. Now, do I keep on multiplying? Well, that's the end of the parentheses right here, so I don't need to keep distributing. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring down what's left over, plus 9v. And now that my 6v is outside of my parentheses, with my 9v that was outside of my parentheses, I can combine them. So let's look at this problem. I'm going to break these apart by my pluses and minus signs. So 6v minus 9 plus 9v. I look and I see that 6v and positive 9v are like terms because they both include a v. So I'm going to go ahead and combine those. 6 plus 9 gives me a grand total of 15, and they were v's. So 15v. And negative 9 doesn't have anything else to combine with, so I'm just going to bring down negative 9. and that is my answer. All right, this next one is your turn. You're going to try this one on your own. Pause the video right now, and when you're ready, press play. All right, let's check your answer. So remember, because 3b is inside my parentheses, I cannot combine it with this negative 7b. I need to get rid of my parentheses. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to get rid of my parentheses by distribution. So multiplying, 4 times 3 is 12b. And I'm going to continue multiplying. 4 times positive 2 is positive 8. I stop distributing because of the end of my parentheses, and I bring down negative 7b. From here, I am going to break my terms apart so that I can see them separately. 12b, positive 8, and negative 7b. 12b, any like terms? Well, positive 8 does not have a b, so it's not a like term, but negative 7 is. So I combine 12 plus the negative 7 gives me 5. And those were b's. So 5b, I'm going to just write my answer over here where I have room. Does positive 8 have anything to combine with? No, it does not. So I'm just going to bring it along for the ride. And that is what my expression simplifies to. All right, let's look at this next one. There's more terms and more operations going on here, so let's get a handle. I can only combine like terms that are on the inside and the outside. So if I start breaking these apart and I say 5x is its own thing, negative 2, well, negative 2 is not its own thing because it's got parentheses right next to it. Positive 3 is its own thing. Remember, this 5x is in parentheses and this negative 7 is in parentheses. So I can't combine negative 7 with 3. Can't do that because they're not both on the outside and they're both not on the inside. And the same thing goes with these 5x's. Remember, I got to get rid of the parentheses first. Okay, so how do I do that? Well, I'm going to distribute what's in front of the parentheses to the inside. Now make sure that you bring that negative along for the ride. Okay, I made that separation right there and bring that negative with it. Negative 2 plus negative 2 multiplied, by 5 is negative 10x. Negative 2 times negative 7 is positive 14. And I bring the remaining little sections down too. 5x comes down and positive 3 comes down. Now that I have no more parentheses, we're going to separate out our terms. So 5x minus 10x, separated out from plus 14 and plus 3. Let's go ahead and combine what we can. 5x, any like terms? Yep. Negative 10x. So I combine 5 plus negative 10. You can type that in your calculator or do that in your head. That gives me negative 5. Okay, and that was the x variable. So negative 5x. 14, any like terms with it? Yep. Positive 3. Those are like terms because they don't have any variables, and I'm going to combine those. 14 plus 3 is 17. And that's a positive 17. So I'm going to bring down positive 17 to my simplified answer. And that will be my final answer. Let's try another one together to make sure we get the hang of this. So I see on this problem that there's multiple parentheses. I've got 3x and I've got negative 2x, but remember, they're both inside parentheses, but they're not inside the same parentheses. They're both in parentheses, but they're not in the same parentheses. So I need to get them all outside of parentheses. Note to self, parentheses first. So 2 times 3 is 6x. 2 times 7 is positive 14. That's the end of this parentheses. So I'm going to continue on to the next one. I've got one more parentheses. Let's multiply what's in front of it. Positive 5 to the inside. Positive 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. So I'm going to just bring down negative 10x. Positive 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. And that's the end of my parentheses. Now that I have no more, I'm going to separate out my terms. Separate, separate, split, split. I'm going to combine. 6x, anything that it's like terms with, yep, negative 10x. So I combine. 6 plus negative 10, type that into your calculator in your head. That gives me negative 4. What variable did I have? X. Continuing on, positive 14. Let's do a different symbol. Positive 14, anything it's like terms with? Yep. Negative 10. Positive 14 plus a negative 10 gives me positive 4. Positive 4. So I'm going to bring down plus 4, and this is my simplified answer. Okay, your turn. Okay, now it's your turn. Go ahead, try this example on your own, pause the video, and when you're ready to check your answer, press play. Okay, here we go. Let's test this one out. So I am going to get rid of my parentheses by distributing first. So here we go. Here's a set of parentheses. We're going to multiply what's in front of it. 4 times 2 is 8x. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. That's the end of the parentheses, so I stop. Okay, another set of parentheses. Look in front of it. What do I multiply? Remember, multiply by everything that's in front of those parentheses. So negative 3. Negative 3 times negative 2x is positive 6x. And I do have to write down the sign, the plus sign. Negative 3 times negative 2 is plus 6. Now that my terms are separate, I'm going to separate them out. 8x, separate it out, snip there and snip there. And I'm going to combine. 8x combines with 6x to give me 14x's. Negative 8 combines with 6 to give me negative 2. All right, one last problem to beware of. Now, I told you that if two numbers that were like terms were inside the parentheses, you could combine them, or if they were like terms and they were outside the parentheses, you could also combine them. So people often make the mistake of combining these two things right here. 4 minus 3. They're like, sweet, it's 1, and I'll distribute the 1. That is a no-no. What I need to do is remember that this 3 is attached. It is part of the parentheses. So 4 and 3 with parentheses are not like terms. Okay, so make sure you don't combine those. We're going to snip it right here. Okay, and we're going to get rid of our parentheses before we combine anything. So I'm going to distribute what's in front of the parentheses, the negative 3, inside. So negative 3 times 2x is negative 6x. Negative 3 times negative 5 is positive 15. Bring down the 4 and then combine. Positive 4 can combine with positive 15. That combines to give me positive 19. And negative 6x, no, doesn't have any other like terms. There's no more x's, so I bring down negative 6x. All right, that's it for today. Go ahead and start your assignment on Canvas and submit when you're done.